And it's working, good, excellent. Hey guys, George Markoski, Positive Property, coming to you live for Ask Me Anything Wednesdays. And today should be an interesting day. I'm trying a new thing where this camera with AI actually follows me around, if you notice like that. Pretty cool. So if you can see me in the Facebook group, please type in yes, just so I can see you. Great. Excellent. Well, so welcome. So Ask Me Anything. What we're talking about today is about property. So excellent. You said yes. Thank you, Christina. I can see that. Thank you. So guys, what do you want to talk about today? Today is all about you. We're going to talk about different things. Recently, we did a 14-day challenge and it was pretty amazing. So what happened was I decided to do something different because of COVID. We couldn't go live in person. So I decided to go live in virtually. So we've been doing a bit of virtual work lately and it's been good. The virtual work's been good, and what's happened is I created a program called the 14-day challenge. And this is where you get in and you do one lesson every day about property and really learn how to create $1 million property game plan. And we had 42 people successfully join our last challenge last month, and most of them successfully finished it. We've had some great results already. It's amazing. And I'm looking forward to doing our next one next month. So if you've got any questions about that, I'm happy to talk about that and, just talk about what's been happening at the moment. Because, there hasn't been a lot of COVID happening in Australia at the moment. So let's have a look here. Questions about that? So basically, we've had no new COVID cases, so I'm hoping that the economy is going to come back to where it is very soon. I recently saw a graph in regards to COVID and the effect on the economy, and really Australia, just as we did back in 2008, practically unscathed, which is pretty cool. Sue. So let's talk about cash flow and why cash flow is important. So what I want to talk about cash flow is, one is, why do we talk about cash flow so much, about investing in property? And this is the important thing. See, it doesn't matter if you run a company or if you work for a wage. The thing is, if you actually trade your time for dollars, you're never going to get rich. You're never going to get there. Because the challenge is, you've only got 24 hours in a day, and that's really not enough. So what we really want to do is we want to leverage your time. And if you look at Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, on the top quadrant you've got pay-away, someone that works for a living. So if you work for a living, you work for someone and they pay you per hour. So what happens is you need to exchange your dollars for time. And then you've got self-employed. And self-employed, they probably work even harder because they work even longer hours. I know, because I've been self-employed before in the past. And you exchange time for dollars. And look, even if you're like a dentist, a lawyer, a scientist, even if you've studied and you've become a doctor, you're trading time for dollars, right? And that's the equation that's happening. So what happens is you go in, you work 8 hours, you get paid for 8 hours. And the thing is, you can never create freedom by doing it on your own, doing it that way. Because out of 24 hours, you can put in 8 hours, you might be able to do it in 10 hours or 12 hours. I know lots of people working 12 hours, 13 hours, 14 hours. But sooner or later, there comes a limit where you can't work anymore. So what's the answer? What is the answer? Is the answer put more hours in? Is the answer get paid more money? Neither of those two. So one of the answers at the beginning, yes, you want to work a little bit harder, try to get a bit more money per hour so you can get further along where you need to be. But at the end of the day, the real key to this is, the answer is getting some of that time that you've got and investing in yourself. Because you yourself are the biggest investment. The fact of it is that the number one investment you can make in your whole life is not property, but is you. And you as a person need to invest in yourself. because if you invest in yourself, that's where you're going to get the biggest return. And I'm a big believer in investing in myself. I'm a big believer in getting mentors and coaches to help me along my journey about what I'm doing. And I really think that that's one of the most important things you can do. You know, Anthony Robbins, I don't know if you know of Tony Robbins. He's the guy that does the fire walk. He's the guy with the big teeth. He's an amazing guy. I've known Tony for a while, and he's one of my mentors. And Tony says, you're a big believer in self-investment. Excellent. Yes, so Tony Robbins, he says that what you need to do if you want big success is find someone successful, and then what you do is you model what they do, right? And that's the key. And because there's 3 ways of learning, right? You can learn, well, there's people that don't learn from their own mistakes, and then you can learn from your own mistakes. Or even better, you can learn from other people's mistakes. Right? And really that's why you get a mentor, because learning from someone else's mistakes is the way to go. It's definitely the way to go, you know? So this thing is a little bit too high. I'm going to just drop it for a second. So learning from someone else's mistakes. So how do we do that? Well, we're looking for a mentor. Oh, I really lost this, haven't I? Let's try this again. Okay guys, so look, basically I'm learning from my mistakes at the moment. I'm just going to try to fix this. There we go, that's better. That's a little bit better because before it was a bit too high. And now we've sort of got a better level. There you go, can everyone still see me? Can you still hear me? So we're talking about mentorship and learning from mistakes, and investing in yourself. So I'm a big believer in investing in yourself, and I really believe that the biggest investment you can make is yourself. And from an early age, like for example, when I first started working, you know, I preferred to get a job where I'd learn more than earn more, because the more you learn, the more you earn. And this is a basic fact that we can't change and you need to accept, is you can't get more than what you've got unless you become more than what you are. And once you become more than what you are, you're going to get more than what you've got. And what's that all about? It's actually about basically getting out of your comfort zone and becoming better at what you do. And that is really, really powerful. And Jim Rohn, he's unfortunately passed away. Amazing guy, amazing philosopher. You know, he's the guy that sort of invented part of this philosophy. How do you make your piece of pie? Okay. That's a good question. How do you make your piece of pie? I don't even know the answer to that at all. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, some people like pies, some people prefer cake. It's an interesting story, but nothing I want to get into tonight. So look, Jim Rohn had some amazing philosophies, and you know, I really think he's talking about improving oneself and everything was much better. And once he said, you know, be like the tree. You know, because he goes, what a tree does is a tree tries to grow as big as it can with everything it's got and really encompass itself and really become everything it should be. And that's it. And, you know, that's what he's talking about, being like a tree. Yes. So, anyway, so self-investment, investing in ourselves. How do we invest in ourselves? Well, you can invest money, you can invest time. And basically, there's 2 things you can invest in. I think they're both very valuable and you get a big return. So time is when you go to the gym, you can invest time, you can invest money. Like for example, I've hired a personal trainer now, and I always trained on my own, but now I've hired a personal trainer. And the reason I've hired a personal trainer is because I don't want to do any thinking when I'm working out. You know, because normally I've got my own gym and normally I have to work out what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it and everything. And now I could do no thinking at all, just rock up, the personal trainer just pushes me through the motions and then I'm out. And it's more of a lazy way of working out, but for me, it comes in very handy because I'd rather use my mental brain power on other things. Because at the end of the day, when you wake up to when you go to bed, you've got a certain amount of discipline and a certain amount of brain power. And that brain power if you use that up with those decision-making skills, because you think about how many decisions you make in a day. You wake up, you work out what to wear. Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs, people like that, why do they wear the same clothes over and over again? You know what I mean? Like Mark Zuckerberg's got the same t-shirt. And if you notice, I wear the same uniform. I've bought 20 of these t-shirts. And it's Tommy Hilfiger, because it's what sort of t-shirt that suits me. And that's all I wear. And why do I wear this t-shirt? Well, one, it's very comfortable, but two, I don't have to think about it. I can shove it on, and I know it looks good, looks okay. You guys be the judge, but that's what I do. And what that does, it saves me from thinking about what to wear. Now, do I wear this black t-shirt all the time? No, sometimes I don't mind. But if I don't want to if I don't want to think in the morning, I just shove it on. So what I'm doing now is trying to get rid of decisions in my mind and in my daily habits and my year, so I can focus on the real important things. Because a lot of things aren't that important. And another thing that I've done to try to invest so I can give myself more decision time, more time, is one thing I've done recently is actually this year what I've done is I've booked in all my teeth cleans at the dentist, I've booked in my chiropractor, I've booked in my massages, I've booked in my physio, and I've booked in all my haircuts, all of that in advance for the whole year. So it's already in my diary, it's already there, it's already done. I don't have to call backwards and forwards, work out a time and do it all just there without me even thinking. Some people might think that's extreme, but I like having everything already sorted out so I don't have to think about it. So then I can really get creative and think about the important things in life, about, how do I get closer to the goals that I've got in my life? How do I help our members get closer to their goals? That's what I want to think about. You know what I mean? Thank you, whoever said it looks great for my t-shirt. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Save decision-making time. Great. Yes, thank you. Yes, so it's all about decisions because there's so many decisions we need to make. And we have this thing called decision fatigue. And what it is, once you make enough decisions, you actually start getting tired from those decisions. And that's why you should never try to make an important decision right at the end of the day or near the end. Automated lifestyle, yes, fantastic. So, and talking about automated lifestyle, I find, with your tasks and with what you've got a choice. You can do it, you can delegate it, you can delete it or not do it. You know what I mean? And what I want to do is, I really like to try to do what's going to give me, one, the most joy. What was that lady, the Japanese lady? She talks about if it brings you joy, you should do it. I love that. I think it's awesome. And I really think if something brings you joy, you should be doing it. And the stuff that brings me joy, I want to do more of that. And the things that don't bring me joy, I want to do less of that. Now, do I do everything that's joyful? No. You know what I mean? Because at first, working out in the gym may not be joyful. But once you get used to it, it does. It is joyful and it's good. So a lot of times, you may not get joy out of something, but you're getting satisfaction. And I think satisfaction is a part of the struggle, because once you do something and you struggle to get there, you get in return, you get satisfaction, which is pretty cool. And I think that's important. That's maybe just as important and more important than joy. So invest in yourself. What else can we do? What do the rich do? What the rich do is they invest in education. And when I talk about rich, let's not get all funny about it, because some of those people get their backs up about rich. When I talk about rich, I'm talking about someone that's prosperous. And when I talk about prosperity, I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about health, fitness, lifestyle, family, or whatever it is. And I really believe that happiness, joyfulness is a triangle. And on the bottom of the triangle, you've got freedom. And freedom is time and money, because you need both time and money to be free. You cannot create freedom without both of those, time and money. I know lots of executives that work long hours, they don't have freedom. They work hard, they're stressed out, they're unhealthy, and they've got no time. They've got lots of money. I know people making $500,000 a year. But what's the point? And especially if you're not investing it. Then I know people that have lots of time but no money. And they're the same thing. They don't have the freedom because they can't do what they want to do. They can't go to a beautiful restaurant or fly overseas or do something like that. And I think, part of the flexibility and part of having a lifestyle is all about getting flexibility and having that. So you need that foundation. And the thing is, you've probably seen this before. You watch TV, you can look at the Today Show. Today's Show is one of those places that asked me to come on there. I have no time or money. Well, I'm sorry that you've got no time or money, and maybe listening to this and watching might help you. Okay, interesting question there, and thank you for asking. But really, what I like to do with that is, I can't answer that question because it depends on the bank. So she's saying we've got someone on the program, and when it comes to looking at your next investment property, having an owner-occupied home and investment property, what's better, right? Let me finish the question. Interesting. Well, the fact of it is, depending on your living situation, but 2 investment properties is better than an owner-occupied investment property when it comes to getting a loan. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to get back to, Today Tonight, Today's Show, and Channel 9, places like that. Places like that, what they do is a lot of them, they ask me to come on board and talk to them about, investing and things like that. And I'm sought after commenter on those sort of shows. But if you notice in the shows, there's a lot of times you've got these rich people that get interviewed, and they're really, really rich, super rich, but they're miserable, you know what I mean? And you know why they're miserable? Because they've got no relationships, or they've got no health, you know what I mean? They haven't got any fulfilling relationships. Because, McScrooge, the way he became rich is by being a Scrooge and, not having any friends and being tight. There's no way to live. And, a lot of people say, well, look, money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness if you're McScrooge, yes. And we see lots of examples of people that are rich that aren't happy. That's self-evident. So therefore, people start to think, well, we see rich people that are not happy, maybe money doesn't buy you happiness. And it's true, it doesn't buy you happiness if you don't know what you're doing, if you look at materialistic things. But I really think that money brings more meaning in your life. And not only brings happiness, but fulfillment. And, if you use your money to create freedom, if you use your money to have meaningful relationships and to help you with your health, I think money will bring happiness tenfold and it'll make you very happy. It's not the money that makes you happy, it's what you do with it that makes you happy. See, having $1 million in the bank is a waste of time. But if you use your money to help people become a better person, learn, travel, have fun, be healthier, it's going to make you happy. It definitely is. And, I've got friends from all walks of life, from poor friends to rich friends. And, everyone's got their own challenges, but my rich friends have got better challenges, I'll tell you what, you know what I mean? And as overall, they're happier. Depends on their own relationship with themselves. So I think that triangle was very important. And with property investing, we're trying to create that freedom. And like I said before, whether you pay YE, or if you're self-employed or you've got a business, the fact of it is, you're just working for money and transferring money for work. And putting the money in the bank's not going to get you there. It really is not. I know, because I had a business that was very successful, but I wasn't getting anywhere fast. And then I discovered what I needed to do is get that money and convert some of my money and multiply it through property, and get some of your money, put it away, and just put it away in property. Because once you free yourself from that economic burden of creating money for your lifestyle, for you to live, for everything else like that, that's where true freedom comes in, right? That's it. And, I've worked long, hard hours, so I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I didn't get here from nothing, you know what I mean? Really, at the end of the day, I worked hard to get here. And the thing is, when I first started, I actually was waiting to get into university, and I got a part-time job selling teddy bears, right? And that was when I was 17. And what I was doing, I was selling teddy bears, and this guy comes up, and I sold him a teddy bear, and he came up and said, you sold me a teddy bear. And I said, well, you can't have it back. And he said, no, I want to give you a job as an art dealer. And I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm actually more interested in going to uni because I'm going to be an electronic engineer. How boring, electronic engineer. I can't believe I wanted to do that. Anyway, so what happened was, he ended up offering me good money. So I ended up becoming an art dealer and selling artwork in Sydney, right, to different corporations, things like that. And I'd go out and do this. And it was damn hard work, but I was doing very well out of it. And when I was living in Sydney, I remember afterwards when I was working with this marketing company, and I kept getting all these bills coming along, and at the end of the month, there'd be more bills left than the money. And it was a horrible feeling. It's a horrible feeling when, you're scared and you're thinking, am I going to make it one day? Am I going to do it? Am I going to be a failure? And that scared the hell out of me, because I came from a family that struggled to make ends meet, and I really did not want to, struggle financially or end up failing. I was scared of that. And I guess that was one of the things that pushed me really hard to work. So if you think you can become successful without getting out of your comfort zone, without working hard, without sweating tears, and it's going to come to you easily, you've got it severely wrong. I'm so sorry, but you're in the wrong place. If you want success, you're going to have to want this success really strongly, right? You're going to have to really want it badly, because if you don't want it badly enough, well, then you're going to end up like everyone else. And 98% of people in Australia retire broke or on the pension. You know what I mean? And I don't know about you, but pension ain't going to work for me. Right? That's the fact of it. So if you want something different, successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. That's the key. So therefore, if you want to be successful, get out of your comfort zone, right? And the important thing to get out of your comfort zone is, one, get educated and really get to know these things. And what I mean by get educated is invest in yourself. Number one, invest in yourself. And once you've invested in yourself, then second thing you can do is invest in property. That's it. That's the secret. And that's it. You invest in yourself. After you invest in yourself and in education, you invest in property. Everything else takes care of itself. I know it sounds very simple, but that's the way it is. And the fact of it is, once you replace your income through property, then your world will never be the same again. I'll swear to you, you'll never, ever, ever be the same ever again. It will change everything. And in a good way, amazing way. Your life's not going to be perfect. No, by no stretch of the imagination. Because the journey is the journey. The process, where should we start investing in ourselves? Well, okay, this is what you need to do to start investing in yourself. You need to do something like, for example, because you're here. Yes, investing in yourself is the biggest and most important investment you can do. Absolutely, it certainly is. And the thing is, the best way to start investing in yourself is find out what you want to learn how to do, and then find someone that's done it. How many properties do you need to replace income? Depends on what you need. So let's say, for example, one property at $500,000 in 10 years is going to make you $25,000 a year. That's what you can roughly work out. So if you want $25,000 a year, then you need one property, right? Are you better off building investment property or buying existing house, depending on your tax status? Yeah, so I'm going to try to go through these questions, which is great. Keep them coming. It's fantastic. It's awesome. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back to this other question. How many properties do you need to replace your income? Well, like I said, so $25,000 per property, if it's going to go up in value. Let me just fix this. So therefore, that means that if you need 50,000, you need 2 properties. You need 100,000, you need 4 properties. When I retired on 10 properties. I was getting about 180,000. But that's going to be different now because properties are worth more. Because this is back in when I was 37, which is 2007, right? So that's what's going to happen. They say invest in yourself. You can afford it. Trust me. Absolutely. I mean, if you don't invest in yourself, that's the worst thing you can do, because the one thing that's constant from when you're born to when you die, there's only one thing that's constant. That's you. Everything else will change. Your parents, your brothers, your siblings, your partner, your kids, your work colleagues, your friends, everything else is going to be different. There's one thing that's constant, which is you. And because you're the only constant thing, you really need to work on yourself more than anything else, because you're the biggest investment you've got. And the best way to start investing in yourself is, I would probably say, one really good way of investing in yourself is doing our 14-day challenge. So we've got a 14-day challenge we're doing next month, and it's only going to cost $97. And that's invest $97 in yourself and see what it can do for you. Because I really think if you push yourself through this 14-day challenge and do your homework each night and go through it, I really think you're going to come out a better person. Not only that, you'll become a better person, but you actually know you'll know about investing in property, and you can get that millionaire property game plan. So I wasn't planning on pushing my 14-day challenge, but now that you asked the question, I think it's a very important thing. So if any of my team are watching this, if you could please put a link for the 14-day challenge in the comments, that'd be great. I really think our next challenge starts on the 28th of June and end of this month. And I've still got a handful of tickets left. This is a pilot program. We've done one last month, and we're doing 2 or 3 more pilot programs over the year just to get it right. And that's why the pilot program is going to be $97. After that, it's going to be $1,000 to do this. And you're also getting 100% money back guarantee. But I think it's a great place to start to invest in yourself is doing this 14-day challenge. 14 days, I want you to commit to me for 14 days and just, for half an hour to an hour a day, just work on yourself, invest in yourself, learn about your goals, learn about your psychology, learn about how much money you need, learn about how you're going to retire, learn all this. You can really, the great value that I bring here is going to be amazing. It seriously is. And I really believe that my $97 course is better than some of those courses out there worth $20,000, right? How do you register for the 14-day challenge? In the comments below, there's the Property Solution $1 Million Property Challenge. But I really strongly believe, and I'm being honest here, that my $97 course for 14-day challenge is better than $20,000 property programs out there in Australia at this point in time. Because there's always people out there, talking about property and stuff like that, but really they've got no idea. And I've got 25 years of experience that I've distilled down to 14 days. And I'd love you guys to join me in the 14 days because I'm going to be in there live teaching you. And actually what I do is each night I go into the group. We've got a special group that we have separately. And each night I go through that day's homework. And if there's any questions you've got anything you need help with, I actually personally help you myself, right? And look, I don't know if you know, but developers, to do my course, the top 100 course for developers, right? I'm charging now $50,000 a day for developers to do that course, all right? So you can imagine, if I'm charging $50,000 a day, I'm worth quite a bit of money. And you're going to get me for next to nothing each night of this 14-day challenge. And why am I doing this? The reason I'm doing this is because, during COVID, I couldn't really get out there and do my normal workshops and get together with people. And I really enjoy the community and I really enjoy connecting with you guys. I really, remember I said, you got that freedom pillar and then you got that meaningful relationships. Part of my meaningful relationships is this group, Property Secrets, and everyone now watching me. I really am grateful for you watching me, and I get a lot of satisfaction, and I love teaching and showing people the way because I'm so grateful and fortunate that I found this formula and it has served me over and over again. I replaced my income through property. When I first retired, I made $180,000 out of property. That was per year without getting out of bed, which is pretty cool, right? But it gets better. Last year I made over $1 million out of property without getting out of bed. I know that my properties are going to make me more money than anything else that I do. And because of that, I can just do what I love and get paid for it. It doesn't matter. And I'm very fortunate. And a lot of people say, George, if you're retired, why are you doing this? Well, money's not going to give you happiness because you need the freedom, the money and the money. You need the connection and you need the health. You can't get happiness by being rich and doing nothing. That's actually going to be a horrible way of being happy. It's actually the worst thing you can do. It's boring. And if you really want to get fulfillment out of life, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you need to move up and create a community, create a movement and help people and do the right thing. And, I've got some other exciting things coming in that I want to launch in the next couple of weeks, but we're actually looking at building a school in an African country. And we're also looking at building a science lab in India and building homes for people in the Philippines. Because I really want to give back a little bit. And now that our company's grown so much and we've been so successful, I feel very fortunate. And now we've got plenty to give back, which is awesome. So, and thank you everyone that's part of our program for being part of this success and everything else like that. The 25,000 grant the government is giving are investors eligible. Sorry, unfortunately, no, you're not eligible if you're an investor. They were pretending it was going to happen. It didn't happen in the end. And look, unfortunately, it's not going to help. But it doesn't matter. If you follow the principles of investing, it's not going to make any difference. And really at the end of the day, because look, whether you get $25,000 help from the government or not shouldn't determine our success when it comes to property investors. What needs to determine our success as property investors is finding out the capital growth and are we going to make the right money in the future. You know, because if I buy a $500,000 house today, then in 7 to 10 to 12 to 15 years, it's going to be worth double. I'm going to make 500,000, right? Okay, so, hi George, I've got 2 questions. Would you suggest using a different lender for your investment property compared to your current home? Using equity, would you use this to purchase one property with 80% LVR, or use this as a deposit to purchase 2 properties with LMI at 90% LVR? Thanks very much. Excellent question, and the person who asked this question, you've got some really good understanding of the questions. And because I'm going through an app, I can't actually see who's actually said it. But let me have a look if I can see it there. But what I'm going to do, oops. So, oops. Let me just pause my. I'm going to pause this because it keeps talking. Okay. So, that's better. Got very confusing listening to myself talking to myself repeating. It was very confusing. Okay, so 1, you don't need to use the same or different lender. I don't care if it's the same lender or different lender. It all depends on the package they give me, because the package is the most important part. The interest rate / is it interest only, is it principal interest, things like that. Now the question about 80% LVR or 2 properties at 90% LVR, look, it depends on the properties. 1, the number 1 thing I'd want to ensure when it comes to properties is buying the right property, more than anything else. So number 1, you've got to get the right property, because if you're not getting the right property, there's no point. So I'd rather get 1 excellent property than 2 shit ones. But I'd rather get 2 excellent properties than 1 not so good one, right? Or 1 good one. I'd rather get 2. Okay. Thanks, Stav. Thank you very much. So, basically, at the end of the day, the important thing is, 1, we want to make sure we get an excellent property. The next question thing is, we don't want to buy 2 properties at the same time anyway. So never, ever, ever buy more than 1 property at a time. So what our rules are when we invest with our members is you only you're only looking for 1 thing at a time. What do you want that property to do? And usually what we're looking for the property to do is make us money, right? Number 2, we only do 1 property at a time. But if I can get 2 quality properties at different times at 90% LVR, I'd rather that than 180% LVR and 1 property, because the more properties you have, the more your wealth will grow. Because the LVR 90%, what's going to happen, you're going to pay LMI between 5 and 15 grand per property. But if I buy a $500,000 property, and with that property, that doubles in 10 years, whether it costs me an extra $10 or $15, $15,000, it's not going to make any difference. So the important thing is, 1, getting the right property. How do you get the right property? There's 6,000 property areas in Australia. And what I do is I look at those areas and I only choose the top 100. That's the key. You know, top 100, top 200, top 300. All the ones on the bottom, just don't touch them. That's the important part, and you'll be fine. Very, very important. So that's what I'd be looking at doing. And 2, before buying it, whether it's 80 or 90% LVR, I'd be looking at the cash flow calculator. And really, at the end of the day, if the cash flow was right and it was easy to own, I'd go for the 2. But if the cash flow is too tight for 2, I'd only get 1. So cash flow is very important. And a lot of people, how do you know which ones are in top 100? Well, you need to do research. If you do my 14-day challenge, I show you how I do it and give you all the stats. There's 29 different metrics, and part of it is demand supply ratio, average vendor discount, auction clearance rates, things like that. So for example, you don't want to go in an area where they're giving big discounts. If there's a big average vendor discount, more than average, forget it. So what you need to really do is, there's 2 ways of looking at property. 1 is fundamental research, which I don't like. And then you've got statistical research, which is what I do. And statistical research, hands down, beats anything anyone else does in Australia. There's only a handful of people in Australia that know how to do statistical research properly. And I'm one of them, which is great. And there's a few other people in Australia that are very, very good at this, which is great. And I didn't invent this anyway. Right? So that's the whole point. I actually hired a coach to teach me how to do this. And the fact of it is, statistical numbers They beat, if you look at those property magazines, you've got those gurus in the property magazines that talk about what areas are going to go up. Well, using these statistics, we actually outperform the market by 15, 20%. Not the market, but the top people, which outperform the market anyway. So that's the important thing. But if you want to know about top 100, I'd probably look at my 14-day challenge. That's a really good start for you to get educated and learn more about it, because I wouldn't be buying without knowing where to buy. You need to know what to buy, what type of property, when to buy it, where to buy it, how to buy it. You've got to answer all those questions. Very important. So that's basically it. So guys, look, thank you for all the questions. I hope that I answered everyone's question, because it's been a really good evening. Thank you so much for coming along. I really appreciate it. Now, I'm thinking about changing our Ask Me Anything Wednesdays to Tuesday night. I'd like a bit of a vote. If you want Tuesday, type in Tuesday. If you want Wednesday, type in Wednesday, because we're going to do this for the rest of the year, every Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to be here answering all your questions. If you're interested in the 14-day challenge, please click on the link. Please join us. It's only $97. I'm going to give you a 100% money back guarantee if this is not the best property education that you've had in your whole life. And I want to compare this to other $10,000 programs. If it doesn't beat those $10,000 programs, the $20,000 programs, I'll give you money back. That's how confident I am. I'd love you to do that. Thanks for joining me. Enjoy your week. Wednesday's hump day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. See you.